Goated. What do you mean?
They really are. It's a great community.
I mean, if you find a niche, people will flock to it.
I just upload every and any game possible and hope for the best. Most of the time, it doesn't work out, but there are occasions. I mean, the most viewed video on my channel is my first episode of Jimmy Neutron Attack of the Twonkies.
I mean, I didn't ask you to shout yourself out, but go for it. Extreme, congrats on
Did you-
first.
Oh, I wasn't ready.
I know
I've
you
been
are.
I
baited.
actually played that game
I
before.
wasn't
It
ready
was
either.
interesting. I got
Doc's
stuck in that
first
game.
lol.
I've been debated.
I win.
Whenever Sam gets silent, that's when I stop talking because I know Sam's about to go live.
It's
You
not
know,
always
I
that.
didn't. I was already talking, so I didn't think anything of it.
Mikey, congrats on 3th.
Can I get honorary 30?
No. Because you got
Huh.
first. Well, kinda. You didn't get anything yet. Oh, interesting. Apparently Extreme needs to send you something, Doc.
Send me something?
Yes.
Yeah,
Autumn,
apparently.
congrats on getting second. And welcome everyone to today's adventures of episodes in Farris.
Adventures of
Commit to the
episodes.
bit.
Well, now I'm just curious of what Extreme has to send me because we haven't talked about anything.
No.
Sometimes you just gotta commit to the bit.
Yeah, sometimes you really do. Wow, looks like the 5Gs are affecting me today. So, welcome to Adventures in Farris. Oh my god.
If it makes you feel better, I'm running out 15 frames a second right now.
Oof. But at least I'm not, because I'm Sam. And I win all my draft lists.
I don't know. I think today was a bit of a tie.
We'll see, we'll see.
Go watch the
Anyways,
one that's out, though.
Doc, did you already introduce yourself, or am I missing something?
I introduced myself last week, if that counts.
Oh, I don't think it does for this episode.
I don't know. Can I get an opinion from the peanuts?
Ah!
I said peanuts, not jelly beans.
Can I be a walnut instead?
That's fine.
Walnuts are good.
This is facts.
I don't think I've ever had. I don't think.
Can I be a
don't think I've-
cashew?
That is
I've
also
had
fine.
walnuts in the longest time.
Alright.
Did you know that cashews come from a fruit?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, happy Pride, everyone!
Well, now that D's nuts have have put their voices out there,
Cashew apples.
and now that I have D's nuts, the entire group, I am Pixel Doctor, aka the Docto, playing Octod, and I'm gonna be very absent for this episode. I think mentally.
There
I'm passing it to the walnut. Peanut, pineapple smells.
do the one
Grape, dairy, and coconut shell. Let's go. Walnuts, peanuts, apples, but grape, and
Doc, are you okay?
No,
Do you need a blanket and a nap?
I need a lot of things.
Do you need a jelly bean?
What?
Do you need a jelly bean?
A jelly bean would be nice.
Okay. I'll give you a jelly bean.
Just gonna give me Vara.
Anyways, Mikey, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Cosmos Keeper, aka Karen, and I play Caress, the Aarakocra Druid. Cashew, go.
You go.
I am Mordred, the newly appointed monster hunter playing Alina.
If I had Monster Hunter World
Yeti
on
go.
PC, I'd play with you guys.
We're playing on
I
PlayStation.
am the Minieti. I am the Yeti VTuber. I am playing Urgai the Tortall Monk. Eeny, meeny, miny, crow.
Boy. Everyone, my name is KiryuMakotoVT. I play Arliss, the Hexblade Warlock. Sammy, go.
I'm trying to catch up on shoutouts. Ah!
We went too fast.
We did. Okay. And I'm Sammy, your godmommy for this adventure in Farris, and also for the sessions of Adventures in Farris. Did I mention Adventures in Farris? Because that's the only thing I do.
I think you should do it again.
I don't think you mentioned it.
Well,
Yeah, one more time. Good luck.
I hope that all the fans of Adventures in Farris are ready for the next session of Adventures in Farris. Because we're bringing your next episode of Adventures in Farris right now on Adventures in Farris. That was grammatically correct.
I'm not coherent. Fuck.
You're not coherent enough? Is that what you're trying to say?
And I thought that
Yeah.
wasn't coherent enough. Well, does anyone know what happened last week?
No, because I kept cutting out and getting disconnected.
That's-
So, to be fair, I didn't miss.
Zafira lives, although I think that was the week before when we actually
The
did
town
that.
burned.
Well, the town did more burned. Two of the dragons died, aka Ray and Sock. Well, the blue dragon lost his legs. Blanc has been kidnapped. Most of the people got teleported to Drex something or other.
Your small group of Penny, Joy, and the Jelly Beans teleported to Drakvir.
You said a
And we
few
learned
others
the
did.
clown works for
A
dance.
couple others, yes, but they were rushed out first.
My point being is that, yes. Yes, the clown works for dance, we know that. And then we brought all these people to the temple that we were able to save. Which, the old hospital was destroyed. So we brought them to this older hospital building area thing.
Watch other Ray and Tyson be with Penny and them.
Oh yeah, they died. I think that's about the whole plot synopsis there.
That's about
Also, Ray gave me a big smoochie and gave me Blanc's cold breath.
Yep. Cool stuff happening all around.
And then Ray died.
As
and I
far
got,
as we know, they died.
Yeah, and then Ray died, and I was mad.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Not that I am aware.
Ignored your child.
Listen, Anton was emotional at that time. Didn't really ignore her. He had something he needed to say, and he said it.
There was a lot of stuff happening, and you all did arrive in the church.
Still hurt her.
Everyone's getting out of the situation they were just in and trying to get settled. Where do you suggest each of them take up residence or set up shop?
We were about to go to sleep as far as I know.
Yeah, but you're still in a giant group. Unless you want everyone to disperse to their own pews.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you send off everyone to their own pews. Let's put you here. If you want to help, feel free.
Nah.
We'll make better arrangements eventually, but this'll have to do for now.
Yeah. See more butts. A lot of people tend to stay quiet mostly, keeping to themselves, not wanting to disturb the sudden silence that befell everyone when you entered the church.
Everyone, I know that we have. I know that we've all been through a tough time, yes. But we can't just sit here and do nothing. We have to get things started up. We need people to start building their stalls and whatnot in order to keep their own currency flowing so no one goes broke. We need to make sure that all this place is secure so nothing comes in. Sure, there's a giant teleporter you have to go into, but we don't know what's truly out there.
Kind of just the entranceway. Anyways. Charles is actually gonna stand up after putting Zafira to lay down on a pew. I'm gonna go check this place out. Make sure there's nothing sneaking around. And he'll head off down the stairs over here.
Would I be able to join him, or
You can head with him if you'd like.
hold on? I'll go with.
Alright. As you follow him, you both walk down. I'm just gonna bring everyone visually here.
Bob.
Bob.
Uh,
Still loading for me.
Damn it, it's still blurry for me. It's been loading slowly today, I've noticed.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bigger map, so forgive.
There we go.
So go ahead and put yourself next to Charles. Also, I just gotta double check. Okay, never mind. Well, this place is pretty shit overall.
It's what we had to do with what we had.
Yeah. He tends to not really look your direction, but more like looking at the surroundings you're in, trying to keep busy, almost looking for anything that could pose a threat.
Charlie, I have a question for you.
So,
What was the other me like?
the other you?
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
From your reaction earlier, I take it I act not the same.
You could say that.
I also have a bit of information to give you that I haven't told the others.
No. This room looks clear.
Right. So it's about the other me.
What about him?
It's hard to explain, but his soul kind of attached to me.
He turns around, gives you a confused look, almost like staring at you like, what, did you really just say that?
Considering everything we've seen recently, does it really sound that weird?
He shakes his head and continues onward. Look, I'm just trying to make sure everyone's safe.
As am I.
As for how you were, I can say you were teaching me pretty tough. Sometimes a little rough, but guess I needed that in some cases.
Sometimes it's good, but sometimes, as I've learned, it can be too harsh.
Oh yeah.
As we're walking, I want to recount the tale of what happened to the previous students, aka the rat folk.
He he kind of doesn't really react to you like putting a hand on his shoulder, but he doesn't really look towards you either as you recount what happened with the four brothers and what took place with the oldest.
Yeah, and how it led to the ritual.
So you got a free reset?
Not exactly. Just because I started over doesn't mean that my past started over.
That'd be too nice, wouldn't it?
Indeed.
You guys were here before, right?
Yes.
Make sure
I recommend not opening coffins.
You opened a coffin?
Well, not me, per se. It was one of us. I can't remember who. It's been a while.
Okay, whatever. You need loot, whatever. I don't care.
I believe it might have been either Carlos or Octad. I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Could have been either, for all I know.
Out of character, I genuinely don't remember who it was who opened a coffin.
Not important.
Yeah.
So I guess we go around desecrating corpses now. That's good to hear. Good to hear. Well, doesn't look like
Wow.
there's anything here. He looks up at the statue here. Mocks a little punch towards the ankle. Hits a little harder. Pushes off of it. Continues walking.
I have to agree with you there. I don't quite trust these statues.
It's just not fun. Could be anything, you know? Always nice to double check. Or something.
It is.
So, did you find any good loot in the chests at least?
I do not know. I did not check any of them. I need no weapons.
I would know. Interesting looking floor pattern. He kind of steps on it. It kind of echoes as a solid, like, marble floor. As he taps on it, he
I
stands.
don't recommend stepping on that.
Seems fine to me.
Well, it teleported us the last time we stood on it.
Huh. Oh well. Maybe the god was testing you or something. I don't know. Whatever you guys do.
Ah, yes, I remember this portal quite well, if my memory serves me right. I do believe one of our party members pushed the other into it.
Sounds about right. He's gonna look down at the floor here, see the broken longsword that's on the ground. Just gonna pick it up by the handle. Throw it into the wall right here. Okay. He slaps the statue on the face. Yeah, pretty thing. Any of you able to read this before? Or did you miss it? Go through the portal too fast.
What language is it in?
Celestial?
I think I can actually read Celestial. Yes, I can read Celestial. Yes, I can read it.
What's it say? I'm looking over the pages real quick. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, just double checking. Looking over the pages, you see a brief tale of two forces confronting each other. One of law and one of chaos. And the land of chaos, the people of chaos being unruly and untethered. Meanwhile, the forces of law are uniform, able to take victory easily.
It is a tale of the forces of law and chaos.
So what, this is a law goddess or something?
Or the latter. Perhaps both.
Well, good for her either way. Doesn't seem to be anything down here. Gonna step onto this again. How'd you say this teleported you?
You see, we stepped on it and then we just kind of fell through it.
Oh, through it, huh? Kind of taps on it a couple times with his foot before kneeling down and punching the ground.
I wouldn't tempt it.
Gives it another punch. Tries to crack it. More just leaves scuffs on the ground. Some red scuffs. Look at his hand. It looks kind of bloodied. Probably scraped some skin off with that punch. Fuck. Well,
Are you alright?
I'll be fine.
I'll step over to help him.
I'll be fine. Seems like it's deactivated now at least, so don't gotta worry about those.
That's good.
Can I help you?
Oh, I thought you were moving forward, sorry.
He was, but I thought you were getting in front of him for something.
Oh. I was just anticipating you moving forward, that's why I did that.
Okay, you're good. Would you like to roll me an insight check?
Yes.
Go ahead.
$15.
Alright. You notice in the way that Charlie is moving how it seems that he doesn't want to really be talking right now and is kind of looking for some sort of confrontation. Seems overly eager to find something here.
Charlie.
Yeah?
You know, if my eyes don't deceive me, I would be under the impression you're looking to fight something.
Oh, yeah? What give you that impression?
Your stance, the way you're walking, tensed up, angry.
Don't know what you're talking about.
It could simply just be my imagination.
Probably. Already getting senile, I see.
Perhaps.
Hmm.
However, I'm still your teacher. I know what it looks like when you're angry.
Oh, I'm angry. You don't say. I should have been there. I should have been there. Instead, she got hurt.
I'll put my hand on his shoulder.
He'll kind of shove you off. She was supposed to be safe in Ray's home. And now they're gone. This is a one-way trip. But
For now, yes.
now there's no way back. No chance of even doing this again. If this is one and done, if we mess this up, that's it. Game over. We've
That
already
is
messed up
true.
so much. I'm never leaving her out of my sight again.
I may be able to help with that.
No? Got some secret way?
And Sam, I want to try and teach Charlie something. I have a sneaking suspicion you know what I'm talking about.
Maybe. If you want to DM it to me, go ahead. Just in case. But,
Yeah.
in the meantime, you can continue.
You see, there's something I picked up.
Such as?
I mistyped that, but oh well.
I got it.
Yeah. Charlie, how much do you know about utilizing your key?
Show me the basics. Well, other you.
How much should I teach you?
I can channel my lightning within me and into my fists.
What if I told you there's more that you can do?
What? Like, use my key while transformed? Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Did I mention it to Charlie?
You haven't. He means older, or older you, other you. We tried that. Got some things, but it's kind of hard to do with a body as chaotic as mine.
Possibly. But possibly not.
What are you saying?
I'm saying, what if that chaos is the key? Well, to the key.
Oh, sure. Use what I am, a monster, to fuel my key. Great. Wonderful idea. Barely have control over the lightning, but sure, why not just go full force?
I'm curious, did he ever show you how the key works?
Only so much before, well, we were sent away.
I want to transform into key mode.
Okay. You allow your chi to flow through you, lining your the the indents in your shell with lights of ki. What the hell is that?
This is the new form I have adopted.
A new form, huh? You? Well, good for you, I guess, but what's that got to do with me?
I think it might be possible to teach you to do the same.
How?
You know that feeling right before you put your lightning into your hands? Right before the key charges?
Yeah.
Imagine that feeling, but instead of wanting to focus it, imagine it washing over you, like you take a shower or diving into some water.
I can try. Hold on. He's gonna go into a slight meditative stance, right there, standing up with you. And you watch him struggle for a few seconds before lightning starts to course over his arms. Not crazily, just little sparks that you can see travel up and down before going over to his shoulders, and some go across his chest, spark up his face, and kind of dissipates as he shakes his head. Oh, no, I can't. No. It's not.
It's alright. This takes time.
It's too much.
That is, for lack of better terms, exactly how it is.
What?
It is just that. It's too much.
What do you
That
mean?
feeling. So, that feeling, the feeling of it being too much. Uh, how do I best describe this? It's like you're letting that feeling not exactly take over, but more of accepting.
Accepting? What do I have to
Yes.
accept so that I'm the protector of everyone? That I'm stronger, that I have to take all the hits? Yeah, I've accepted that. No problem. Accept that I'm a monster? Yeah. I can accept that.
No, Charlie. I want you to accept that you're not a monster. That you are you.
I nearly wanted to hurt all of you. When I first heard that Zephy was hurt, and you all, I nearly hurt all of you. I could have hurt all of you. You want me to let that take over? Wash all over me? Fill myself with that being?
Sort of. Let me explain a little bit better. I want you to allow that feeling to wash over you. Not to let it take over you, but to let you command it for the best way I could word it. Let me demonstrate. I want to show him the key. What did we call it again?
The key wave?
Yeah, that one.
Sure, let's go with that. Shut up, Mordred.
Yeah, the not Kamehameha. I want to charge it, not fire it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I fire it in here, I don't want to hit a wall or something.
Yeah. So you form a ball of pure ki in between your hands. What element are you having it take?
For intensive purposes, lightning.
Alright. You watch it crackle in your hands. This just solidified 1-inch diameter ball that's just glowing, bright, luminescent light, sparkling all over from fingers to fingers. Smell of burning air goes through your nose.
Now, Charlie, I want you to look at this.
How are you?
It is lightning like what you use. Typically unfiltered, uncontained, but it's contained within my hands. I want you to try that first.
I don't know.
It is all right. We can go at the pace you are wanting to go.
I need to get back to Zephy.
Very well. We have been away for quite some time. They will start to get worried. I went to disengage my key form and dissipate the key.
You let the key just fade away slowly as it dissipates into nothingness, as the light from in between your shell carvings fades and dims.
I want to walk up to him, put my hand on his shoulder. I have one last thing to tell you before we go up there.
What's that?
From all of my time as a master, I have learned one thing is true and but one thing only.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much experience you gain, no matter how wise you become, no matter how strong you believe you are, there is always more to learn.
Too much to learn.
That is true.
He heads up the stairs. But before he does anyone upstairs want to do anything?
Does not seem like. Unless we're just typing.
Oh,
I can't think of anything.
that's fair.
I guess I just want to have a brief apology with Vara.
What's up? What's up?
I'm trying to remember what your Vara voice is.
Yeah, it's not the easiest. What's up, Dad?
I don't remember what it sounds like anymore.
Yeah.
I just wanted to apologize for earlier. I got very heated.
Yeah, you did.
Well, my friend died, so that'll do it.
You're my friend too, Dad. You don't know what we've been through. We've done a lot between when we last saw you to, well, now. But now there's no redoing things. We're stuck here, and we can't go back again and try something else.
Well, won't say that around your mother. That's not right.
I've said worse.
But it's fine. We will figure this out. At least, most of us are okay. Uh, if we can find, we at the very least we owe it to Ray to find Blanc,
Yeah,
to rescue them.
that's the least we can do.
Besides, I'm sure Blanc doesn't even know fully what happened. I don't know for.
At least if he's still alive.
Even if he's not, we need to know. At the very least, we could bury them all together.
Yeah. At the very least we can do that.
At the very most, I'm sure maybe there's some sort of ancient magic that can do something. I don't know. Maybe there's something we can do or something. I don't know. I'm not. I don't really. I don't know. Oh, right. And you're here, so Penny is probably freaking out.
Yeah, she was freaking out a little before because she couldn't find me. But,
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you're alive.
Dad, please don't say that again.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that. That's a little, much to think that little me can, yeah, no.
Well, either way, everything's fine. At least, well, as fine as it can be.
Oh.
You are in trouble in 5 to 6 years for this.
She bites your finger as you point at her. It doesn't hurt, it's all gums.
Yes, you are in trouble.
She's sucking on your finger.
Well,
Dad,
Hmm.
I think she's hungry.
Uh-oh. I don't know how to make baby food.
Neither do I.
Well,
Ah.
we got the child sassy before they even know what sassy means.
I think she's just going with the flow of you. I don't know.
We'll figure this out. Alina's here. You can ask her.
Oh yeah,
She's a mother. She do it. In fact, be mom. I will do that. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first.
Gives a glare.
What?
Well, anyway, I'll go see about getting food made for you, the baby.
I am going to take a sleep. 'Cause I think
You
I
can take
deserve a sabbatical after, nearly breaking my back as I flew into a wall.
You and I both know I don't know what a sabbatical is.
Yeah, I know.
And goddamn, I raised you too well.
Of course you did. What else would you expect?
All right, you take a sabbatical. I will go talk to Alina.
You got it. She starts to get comfy in the pew, just lying down.
Lizard lay.
Lizard lay.
They go sploot.
So, as you take Vara over to talk with Alina. Baby Vara. Var.
Alina, I need your help.
I broke it, did the baby. No.
The baby go down and go oop.
Oop. Oop. Bam.
If baby hungry, I don't know what to do. Like, I know feed baby, but I don't know how feed baby. What feed baby?
Food?
Did my baby just speak?
No, it's Joy.
Oh,
What about food?
I need to feed the baby.
Yeah, you feed someone with food.
Yeah.
Right? Right, Mama?
Yes.
That'd have been hilarious if that was baby Vara lol.
Food. Her first word, food.
I feel like that's still a possible chance.
It's a possible chance.
Yes, you feed the baby food, Joy. That is correct.
Yes.
But I need to know what kind of food to feed the baby. Don't you dare say the edible kind.
Oops.
You
But
understand?
yeah,
No?
we need to remember what they used to make the food before.
They usually take like fruits and squash them into like sauces, like say applesauce.
Apparently, we are a crested gecko. For those that don't know, you feed the crested geckos will usually often eat fruits.
Oh,
Do we have any by chance?
you most likely have something, especially in rations.
We have rations. I can use rations.
You just gotta really grind them down and probably mix them with water.
Well,
And you need
I shall start the process for that.
Do you want a small spoon?
I would like a small spoon.
I don't have one.
Why did you ask?
Because I thought you might want one.
But if you don't have one, it doesn't help me.
I mean, at least it gave you the
Luckily, I carry spares.
Don't worry, Alina carries. You know what? Honestly, that's fair because she's got a baby Luna.
I'm not arguing that. Mom, you could let me have more fun. It would have been funny.
Joy, I swear to God.
True.
Look, I was traumatized today. I deserve a sabbatical.
You don't even know what that word means. You were just
don't know.
listening.
What's sabbatical?
You don't know what it means.
I don't know what a sabbatical is.
It's a rest.
Oh,
It's a rest. It's a fancy way to say rest. Or a little vacation.
why wouldn't you just say rest?
Because it's funny.
And all the children are sassy around me for some
Fancy
reason.
words.
Yeah, I need a sabbatical, right, Mom? period
I think it's time for an NAP. What is an NAP spell? Party.
Party. A period of paid leave granted to a university teacher or other worker for study or travel, traditionally 1 year for every 7 years worked.
Yeah, I don't think Joy can get that right now, considering she's like 4, 5. I forget how old she is.
You don't know that?
I was told your age.
No, you don't know that I can't get one. I can be a
Why-
university professor. I am a smart cookie.
This child, I swear.
I get told that a lot. I also get told, hey, put down that torch. Or, hey, stop running with those flammable coals. But yeah, they don't really, like, do anything to me.
What kind of adventures is Joy going on?
Adventures?
In Farris?
What kind of adventures do you go on?
I'm not doing this right now, child.
You asked the question. I like to think
Alina's just over with an anime sweat drop as she quotes those fire-related don'ts.
Also, I'd like to think that Vara also doesn't realize what sabbatical actually means and thinks it just means rest.
I would believe that.
Because that was my mistake.
I'm taking a sabbatical.
I've taken
It's gonna be. She got her teddy bear and everything.
You watch as Vara takes out a familiar looking teddy bear that doesn't seem animate.
Wait, what? Whose bear is this?
Would you like to take a look?
I would like to take a look. I guess I'll roll investigation, or what am I doing? Perception.
Roll a history check.
A 10.
Alright, this bear looks very similar to Roger, but also very distinct and much older. Like, it's using a different colored bow tie. He has
Oh, right,
patches on
Roger.
him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who Roger was for a bit.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, not Roger. It's not Roger. Shit. Hold on.
Did you not need to tell me it was Roger? Or is it actually just not Roger?
It's actually not Roger. It's a different name. His name is Rover. His name's Rover. You know, Brenda's teddy bear.
Red Rover.
Can I come over?
Well, alright then. Anyway, I need to feed the baby.
Okay. So you mash up some of your rations into a nice mucky or a nice like fine powder before adding little water to make it more muck instead of anything. And you take the tiny spoon that Alina gave you.
Feed it a baby.
And she spits out some of it.
You must eat the food, child. It is for your own growth. Right. Eat the food.
She puts it in her mouth, but she kind of spits it forward.
Even as a baby, this child is sassy. I will continue to attempt to feed the baby.
She keeps happily taking the spoon, but like half of it starts continuously gets out of her mouth, and like falls onto her like chin and around her jaw.
I am not. I am not male life material.
Nah, nah, nah.
Just, child, please. This, this is why you were supposed to say with Penny. She's better with kids. I, I, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I hold the child closely and try to be like,
Okay, you hold the child closely, getting some of the food onto your wherever you're holding her chest.
yeah, I guess my chest. It's okay. I will. I'll clean that up later.
She keeps like opening her mouth towards you.
I don't know what to do.
Would you like to roll a survival check? Is that the mom skill?
I can't see any other skill making sense unless it's animal handling like we were talking about before.
No, it's not animal handling. Well, it technically would count, but no. Roll the mom skill, survival. Alright, Aktad, you realize that if you take the spoon and scoop up the food that's coming out of her mouth, you can scoop it back in. So that she eats it.
I do just that.
Some of it keeps coming out, but you continue to do that until like most of the food is just like eaten by her.
Parenthood's hard. I should have thought about this.
You can feel her like slowing down in your arms as you hold her. Before you hear soft breathing.
A sleepy baby. I have good kid. Probably more, but I haven't spent any time with the rest of the kids yet.
You have a good kid, you said to the baby.
Yeah.
Alright, anything else you'd like to do?
No. This is more than I already asked for in the beginning.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they would like to take care of? In the meantime.
I don't think everyone there.
Dude, these
I
people
will
like bring
cast
all their belongings.
Prestidigitation. I know I butchered the fuck out of it. To clean Octid with a simple snap of my fingers for cool flavoring.
I guess Alina was watching that whole thing.
Yeah. Alina kept a careful eye on you as soon as she heard Vara. Just mom instincts kicking in. But yeah, after all that, at least, that's about when Ergai and Charlie start Coming back.
I was going to help if needed, but I wanted him to get the experience.
I believe you.
She did not believe her.
Just watching him struggle, it's just like, yes, early parenthood. I understand this. I would like to watch you suffer. Alright, looks like everyone's sleeping. I'm gonna go see if I can hunt something. You take care of the others while they sleep, alright?
Would you like to say bye to Zafir before you go?
Just keep her safe.
I think she might like it a lot.
You can see one of his arms shaking.
I want to walk at him. Look, I know it hurts. I know you're scared. But she needs you just as much as she needs us.
I wasn't there to protect her. How can
But
I
you
face
are
her?
now.
How can I face her knowing that she died because I wasn't there? I should have been there.
You should have. But that cannot be changed now. How would she feel if she found out you left and didn't tell her bye?
I don't know.
Go say bye. Or a guy doing master things.
Charlie just looks over towards Zafira, who's laying down, just trying to get relaxed. I have to go.
Or a guy just gonna let a sigh just. This is gonna take a while. I want to go let Zafira know that Charlie went hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Charlie has gone out to go hunting.
Oh. Really? That's
Yes.
not like him usually.
I had a feeling. Maybe we should go check on him. Not you, of course. You need to rest. I want to look. I want to look
looking at
right
her,
Arlo.
almost trying to get up.
I'll like put my hand on her shoulder to like kind of prevent her from standing up. I'm serious.
I misunderstood when you said we should go.
It's all right.
Yeah, that's.
I want to look over at Arlos. He's
May I
very
help you?
he's looking for a fight. I just want to make sure he doesn't bite off more than he can chew.
Arlos will sigh and then get up. I suppose I should go after him then. Which way did he go?
This way, and I'll walk over to the door.
You see as each doorway kind of leads to the same exit.
That's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
That's both a hindrance and convenient.
He went outside. You can go 3 ways to get outside. That way, and that way.
No, fair enough. Zafira, I'm going to go see if I can find Charles. Do you need anything while I'm out?
No, I should be fine. Just, make sure he's safe.
I'll bring him back just fine. It's okay. I also kiss her forehead and then proceed to go to the exit.
Mm-hmm. You
Should
two,
we? I was gonna say, should we bring Kay along as well to hopefully talk to him? Because he does not need me right now.
Sometimes, Turtle, some folks just don't like to talk. Sometimes they need to go through what they're going through. Some people look for
Very well.
solutions, others look for sympathy, some actually wish to solve their own decisions. But, in light of all this, we'll find him anyway. Who knows what he's going to
Yes.
start.
We'll hang in the back until, unless we decide that he needs help.
Yeah,
Right.
sure, that sounds good.
you two head out, and you go searching for him. Roll me survival checks.
Well, I'm lost.
Urgai's able to lead you both, following some tracks that you watch go from normal humanoid footsteps to increasingly large size in of paws.
So it's safe to assume we found our boy.
Yes.
Yes.
And as you get close, you both see him in the distance, putting down a something limp from his hand, from his mouth onto the ground, almost like if he's setting up a pile. His face stains red, as I should actually put you on the map. Face stained red, seemingly caused by blood.
Turtle, considering I'm probably the last person he wishes to see at the moment, if I should perish, to let the others know it was fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Arlos will start to walk forward a little bit slowly.
Roll me a stealth check.
Oh boy, I got +3 in this. Oh, fuck.
Alright. You're able to walk up to him and see a small pile of deer carcasses next to him, as he doesn't really notice you until you get as close as you want to get.
We got a boss here.
Conveniently hiding behind the turtle.
I was here first. What do you mean?
What are you
No.
doing here?
Or tight.
Figured we-
Go ahead.
I figured you might need some help. A lot of mouths to feed after all.
Well, as you can see, I've got things covered. I already caught 4 of these things. You look at the pile and do notice 4 varying sizes of deer. 2 bucks, a doe, a fawn. You'd look around and you notice like a lot of trees and bushes have been slightly displaced, clearly having been damaged or broken in a rough sort of aggression.
I see you decided to box Mother Nature. How did that go for you?
I won.
Right. Sure. But how do you feel?
I won. How else should I feel?
Is winning actually everything, though?
What, you want me to feel like a hero? Or you want me to feel
No.
like someone of importance?
I want you to feel like Charles. I want you to show me exactly how you're feeling.
I don't think you want to say that.
Charles will put a hand on his shoulder. Charles, for someone who likes to keep things bottled up his damn self, I will allow you to know this.
He backs up from you when you put a hand on his shoulder.
Bottling things up will lead to things piling on top of that. The more you pile on top of that, the more compact it gets, until it can't get compacted any further. And next thing you know, you will soon see yourself turn into the monsters you swore that you would protect everyone from.
Oh, turn into a monster? You saying I don't look like a monster? He
No, you
bares
look
his
like
teeth
Charles.
at you, just face bloodied red, dripping from upper jaw to lower.
He just looks into his eyes. Charles, I look humanoid, correct? And yet I've committed more heinous crimes than you have ever seen in your entire life.
I am a heinous crime. Just look at me.
That which was not your own doing. That was the fault of someone else.
Doesn't stop me from being this.
Actually, you can blame me for that.
Why?
Because I could have let you rest peacefully instead of bringing you back. If you wish to blame anyone, blame me.
I just realized I don't think anybody ever told Charles, aka Charlie, that Arlos is the one who brought him to life.
You put me together.
Only the pieces that they left me with.
So you turned me into this.
Turned you into, no. More so, just filled the husk with a soul. Essentially.
Oh. Sorry, I...
Forgive the words.
What did... Were you trying to do something? Prove a point? Try to
What's I trying to prove?
make a new pet? What? What was your goal?
Actually, you aren't too far off.
Oh, good.
Not so much of a pet, but more so as an experiment for myself. To see if I could actually separate one's form who was once who were two separate beings connected into one body. I was trying to see if I could reverse the process, give myself a nice little pat on the back.
Well, look at what happened. Don't think it worked,
Urga
huh?
takes a step back.
No, it did not. But to me, we got something a lot cooler than that. We got you.
Shut up.
Do you
Sound
wish me
like
to
an-
lie to you?
Sound like an old fart. Talk like that.
Urga's gonna laugh in the back and just.
What funny, Turtle? I still have. Wait, how old am I?
It was a little funny.
Jesus Christ, how old am I? Never mind. Let's just relate.
Still younger than me, probably.
I'd hope so. You said you were over like 150.
Is that what I said?
Something like that. Could be remembering wrong. But not important. Anyway, Charles. It's okay. You can be furious with me. You could hate me for the rest of your days, even. Unfortunately,
How can I hate
did
you?
what I did. easily.
You tried to help.
Charles,
I'm here because of you, apparently. So thanks, Dad.
I do believe that's more so Kay's position, more so than my own.
You know what I meant.
But if we didn't have you, Zafira would be lonely. And I don't want her to be. Sure, she may have the others, but you fill a place in her heart more than anyone can. Even more so than me.
You probably would have been safer.
You know, given my track record, you're probably right. But that's why we trust you the most, to keep everyone safe. I don't know if I'm actually able to do that. But I know you can.
Do you know what you all did?
Yes, I'm the monster who slayed his own child.
You
Yes, I'm...
left us in the Feywild. We were kids. What were we supposed to do?
I'm not exactly quite sure what I was thinking, but does this have to refer to the portal that you guys went through?
The one when we were kids, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know how much. I don't know how much I can say about the others of our future group. But what I can say is this: I am at least 90% sure. I'm not quite that I was watching while you were there. My previous life would not have found me otherwise. So I do believe it would be safe to say that I was still with you. I'm not sure how much help I would have been, considering the fact that I was dead.
never going to get the end of it, am I?
That's why I felt something different. You were there the whole time, weren't you?
Possibly. I have no idea. I didn't exactly keep the memories.
Of course not. Fine. Ah. This is all too much. Need a drink or something.
Would you like some tea?
Are we talking the tea or just tea?
I don't think I have any of the tea left, as to everybody this man certainly would love it at this moment.
I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't really bother me too much. I have a whole stash of stuff in my pocket.
You have how much?
I had about 2 pounds of the stuff.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Why?
You know, I asked myself the same question. But you never know. It might come in handy.
You
someday.
know what? Fuck it. Just put just toss some in my mouth. Ah. You watch as his eldritch mouth just opens up.
Okay. I'll put a handful.
I would wait till. I would wait till. I was just gonna say. I would wait till we get back. We can't exactly carry all 4 of those by ourselves.
Just
And we
back.
kind of want you to turn back before we get back.
Oh,
Hey.
right, people. At the very
Yes,
least,
people.
let me carry these over there.
Sure. Do you need any help?
Probably getting rid of this one. He picks up the fun and looks around, just kind of tosses it over to the side.
Arlos, why anime sweat drop? Why the fuck? Why are you so strong?
Do you see how big I am? Also, that's a baby.
It's still a deer.
Yeah, it's like 2 feet tall. I'm like
Oh, okay.
15 feet at this size.
Was it alive when you threw it? Regardless, I don't think it's alive anymore.
No,
No,
it's not.
far
But
from
I'd
it.
rather not, bring a child's deer to as food for everyone to eat. I was a little.
I think we should keep. I think we should keep. I do believe we should probably keep that last bit a secret between us.
What bit?
The whole murdering your baby deer thing.
What bit?
You know,
Exactly.
out of all the conversations we've had, this is one of the strangest.
Yes, it is.
This is one of the strangest?
Yeah, I think so.
Revolution!
Okay. Alright.
Alright. So with some help, Charlie and you two are able to bring the $2 and the dough all the way back to the group. And you just kind of... Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you. You just kind of bring it through the door as Charlie kind of just, excuse me, turns human just before crossing the threshold.
You've gotten really good at that.
I'm a badass.
Only works when I'm under the effect of the potion.
That's still kind of badass.
I mean, it's what I gotta do, Sometimes I just gotta wolf out.
God damn it. Responds.
What? Did I say something?
No, no.
Do I still have blood on my face?
Yeah, sure, you got some
Start
iron right
checkling.
over there.
Or gonna start chuckling.
What's so funny?
Nothing, you precious bean. Let's go bring this food to everyone.
He's just being honest. Like, he just has to wolf out sometimes.
You know what? Fair enough.
I'll like pat him on the back. What the, when you're older?
I'm 23.
I'm well over 100 years old.
I have no idea.
Wait, hold on. Do I age like humans? Or wolves?
Mhm.
Oh, this is
Well,
more
well,
existentialism.
Well, I mean, if you age like a wolf, he's dead by now.
That's true.
Maybe a mix of the two.
Mm.
I don't know. If anything, I hope it's closer to human time, so very least I got, like, what, 80 years?
You're a reincarnated being put into the soul of a half human, half wolf hybrid. I don't think we have an exact science for this.
So 50 years, got it.
You know, we're just here for the ride. We have no idea. We just gotta enjoy the time that we have.
Neither do I. I'm just making this up as I go. That's how I make most of this up. Wink.
Yeah.
Winks to the camera.
Casually, Sammy talking through Charles.
Who are you looking at?
The camera?
The fuck's a camera?
I don't know. What the fuck
The
is a
pictures
camera?
are real.
What am I saying?
Oh god.
Just ignore it. I'm just talking through you for a moment. Oh god. Oh god, not the voices again.
Speaks through me. No.
It's stealing my
I'm glad-
words.
I'm glad God speaks through everyone in this universe.
Just one specific god, not all of them.
I'm just saying everyone gets talked through, though. God speaks through everyone.
Yep. Technically, God is everyone. Alright, so...
Oh shit.
I'm not the best at, barbecue. Do any of you know how to cook?
Ergo slowly raises his hand.
Really? I mean, I knew you could make tea, but like, all right.
And we
Did-
not feel
did I never-
sleepy afterwards.
Did I never cook for you?
I don't remember.
Jeez, Eric, what kind of sensei were you?
Look, that was like almost 20 years ago at this point.
Oh, Lord. 20 years.
I'll tap Arlos on the shoulder. The best kind.
Shoulder.
That's what I said.
He said
It's hard to
shoulder.
do the accent. It's hard to do the accent. It's hard to do the voice and say the letter D.
It's hard to say the letter D. But yeah, Joy kind of perks up. Is someone tea cooking?
Oh my god, she has the ears of a bat.
No, a human.
My point still stands.
Octad, you can cook. You taught
No,
me.
he
Dear
cannot.
Lord.
You taught,
No, he cannot.
you taught me how to control fire.
Joycey, we need to cook.
We need to cook. Jefferson, we need to cook.
I will look at Charlie. Under no circumstances did he come near that food.
I agree. I thought we were keeping quiet. Wait, has she been able to hear me this? Oh no.
Probably.
That means.
Boy,
Oh no.
Charlie, what does it mean? What does it mean?
This never comes up between me and Jay ever. You understand?
Okay.
Jay
Sure.
has heard nothing of what I have done
Okay.
with Saphira. Anyways.
What do you mean by that?
Look,
I think Sammy meant to say Zafira, but Sammy said Jay. Unless I'm
I
misunderstanding.
said Saphira.
You did at the end, yes.
I said with Saphira.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, wait, what do you mean by that? That's my daughter. What did you do?
What do you think he's done?
Oh!
Arlos having existential crisis.
It's okay. You know what? There's a question I was thinking to myself earlier, and I didn't have a reason to bring it up, but now I do. Since Zafira's skills were set, does that mean she's bad in bed now?
Maybe. We'll find out. You will find out. You will find out.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about this earlier.
You could have asked me in DMs at least.
No, it's more funny now that I brought it up now.
It is kind of funny.
Oh my god.
Oh!
I'm just gonna believe that
Alright,
Charles doesn't even like think about that.
What do I roll for cooking again? It's survival, right?
It's survival. If you have
Yeah.
cooking utensil proficiency, you add your proficiency bonus as well.
I do not. She's here.
I'm here to cook with the lizard.
No! No, keep away! Keep his
I
diabolical
majorly
food
overdid
away!
the movements.
Look,
It's quite alright. I can cook.
I can cook.
Yeah, it's quite alright. You guys have had a rough day.
But I can cook.
Please. I got this.
I can do the fire. Right,
I
Jefferson?
can also.
You see the little lizard stick its tongue out? No. He said yes.
Understood that.
She didn't hear shit.
Okay.
The lizard didn't say anything.
Okay.
Also, can you tell guy to or distract Octad with something else to cook? Otherwise, he's just gonna get on your ass.
hold on, let me look through my bag of items.
No, I was letting Arlos know that he should tell Urgai.
Do I have anything to distract him with?
I don't know, it's your bag. I don't check your
I
stuff.
smell cooking. I
No, you
smell
don't.
cooking.
No, you don't.
No, you don't, Charles says as he tries to hide the book behind his back.
His lizard senses take that he's poked his head up and he's looking around, all lizard-eyed.
You do that snake tongue thing.
Arlos has it. Arlos,
And,
are you
uh,
participation to
I have an idea. Thinking quickly, Urgai, I go, have you ever cooked deer hooves?
What are deer hooves?
I don't think
Deer
I have anything
hooves?
sharp on. I don't think I have anything sharp on me, actually.
You say as Octot holds his axe.
Yes,
Aha.
deer hoof.
I feel something needs to be cooked here.
Sure.
Only the I'll like give Arlos a wink with my right eye. You see, only the most skilled of chefs can cook deer hooves.
Oh, yeah? Well, I am the most skilled.
We are the most skilled.
Yeah, see? Chef Junior here knows.
Chef
Good, we'll leave
Junior
you.
is crazy.
Hey, I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Right, Jefferson?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Uncle Arlos. I mean, Arlos.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah. What? Do you have something to say?
I'm. Toto, what is
Ooh.
happening right
You
now?
ready to throw down with a 5-year-old?
Octot
Oh.
behind Joy. Octot sitting behind Joy. Let her cook.
Let me cook. Let me cook.
Do I have
Yes,
ration goodies?
I'll look at Arlos. The hooves.
The homes. Right. Look into the
Let us
homes.
cook. Let us cook.
Let us
Let's
cook.
cook.
Let
Let
us cook.
Like
Okay,
that
here
was
you
me.
go.
That was me giving Arlos the cue to get the hooves because I do not have anything sharp.
Oh, Arlos will extend the hooves of deer hooves and hand them to Octon.
Thank you. Now, Octot, how do we make
Gee.
these?
I thought you were just gonna
Right.
like rip them off or something.
Octot looked at Joy. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, but I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, so see, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to chop these.
No. Let's not give them our secrets.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, let's go over here.
What you're supposed to do is peel these. Ah, see, now they don't know.
Ah, yeah, we tricked them.
I want to look at Charlie. I think I just saved dinner.
Thank you.
How long do you think that'll keep them busy for?
I don't know.
Let's not to
Let's
wait.
hurry up. Let's hurry up.
Okay.
You all quickly start a fire.
this is turned goofy fast.
Octot turns over. Oh, look, they get the fire ready for us.
Wait, no! I thought they had a fire!
No, I got a better fire. You ready,
Ah,
Jefferson?
you're right.
She puts Jefferson on the ground and he just has a full campfire.
Oh my, that's pretty impressive.
Oh.
I'm not looking at the bag of herbs I have. I wonder if any of these can be used as spices.
Most of them can be used as spices.
Are there at least 12?
Are you trying to use 12 herbs and spices?
Trying to create KFC.
We gotta do something, man. We gotta do something.
I don't know what we're
Yeah.
carrying with us.
After you guys get the fire started, Charlie pulls out a stool and a spigot and just starts rotating the deer on the spigot above the fire.
So, Arlos, what I have is a cocoa,
What
jasmine, Night Root, and Silent Princess. Those are the names of the veggies I have on me, the leaves.
You can just hear,
Koa?
you just hear Charlie just
Okay.
humming to himself.
Hold on, just real quick. Did you purposely need to pronounce it that way, or did you just mispronounce it?
I'm
Cocoa
I'm
is
90%. I just
Cocoa is the actual way to like. It is.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced cacao.
Oh, cacao.
it's COCOA.
Mhm.
It sounds like you're making shit up to make me mad.
That's how it's spelled on my sheet. I don't remember how long it was I put this thing
Yeah,
on
no,
here.
it's cocoa. It's cocoa.
Why is it spelled that way?
I
Is
don't
it not?
know.
Is it not supposed to be coca? Like the chocolate
It is.
coca?
It is chocolate. Cocoa.
Well then it's misspelled. It's cacao.
No, it's
It's
cocoa beans.
CACAO.
No,
Those
it's
chocolate milk from the
COCOA. It's
No.
the cocoa
Yeah.
beans.
No.
It comes from the cacao.
Anyways,
I'm getting
We
mad at
are
this
not-
conversation. I'm
We're not
getting
having
mad.
this. We are not having this argument. today.
anyways, you use the cocoa beans, which that's what they're called in this universe, okay?
Dude, you could have said that and I'd accepted it, but you didn't.
That's what they're called now. It's canon.
Fuck you.
You can't. I'm a disembodied voice.
So am I.
Yeah, she's right.
No, you're
Oh
not.
shit, he's right.
No, you're not like that. I can feel you in my hands right now.
That's not how that works. I'm not Octod right now.
You're right. That's not how it works because I don't have hands because I'm disembodied.
I swear to God, I'm going to strangle you.
No, you can't
In
swear to me.
game.
Also, Mike, I just read your message. My bad. But this is too good.
Wait, what?
In the Farris chat.
You're going
Not-
into
Not Discord. Not Discord. In the actual chat.
going to create violence.
You're trying to create.
Hey, Sam.
food. Yeah.
Can I inspect what these berries are that I have?
Sure.
You-
Are there
yeah,
different
I wanna
kinds of
see.
berries that I mentioned, or
Well, I don't know. You just called them mystery berries.
mystery berries? Okay. Roll me a d4.
Okay. Yeah. I got a 3.
Okay, give me 3 colors.
Well, I mean, sure. Black, white, and yellow, I guess.
Black, white, and yellow. Okay, so you have some blackberries, some white berries, and some yellow berries. To figure out what each of them are, I'm gonna need nature checks for each of them.
Fuck. All right. Well, here's for the black ones, I guess. Where's the nature check? I got a plus
Whenever
1 to
you're-
this. Oh yeah, baby.
Oh damn, nat 20. Alright, what was this one for?
What's the blackberry?
The
or
blackberries?
whatever it is. Yeah.
Alright, give me 1 moment. Go ahead and roll for the white berries next then.
Alrighty. Yeah. Baby.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Alright, yellow berries, let's go.
Please let the third one be in that 20. That would be comedy gold.
Oh, it's a 17.
Close
They're
enough.
really good.
Nice.
Shit, there isn't anything in here but berries.
I don't know.
Alright. So, the blackberries are... They're usually native to the southern parts of Basha. They are known as the ebony sweet berries. Known for being, as the name implies, extremely sweet and sporting a unique black color.
Nice.
The yellow berries are bitter blossoms, known for their very bitter taste, but they do also have some savoriness to them and some tanginess. They are often used when making some specialty wine in the southeastern parts of Pasha. And as for the white berries, they are savory snowberries. They're very salty, almost like they are just packed with MSG, but they are also extremely juicy and have a very soothing texture to them.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys like to add some of these berries to the meal?
What kind are they?
You know, God gave me the names of these, and I completely blanked out on them. I know what they are.
There's the ebony sweetberry.
There you go, ebony sweetberry, and what's the white berry called?
The white berry
The snow,
is
like
the
the snowberry, something like that.
snow savory.
No savory. There you go.
With the snowberries, I might have some night root that can go with them.
Well, there you go. We can put something together using those two then.
It'll have a very savory flavor to it.
Yeah, night root is already supposed to relax, right?
Yes.
We can at least get these folks a nice home cooked meal. I can at least settle their spirits, you know? They've been through a lot.
What would you like to do with the berries and herbs? Would you like to make a sauce? Would you like to just like pepper it over the meat? Make a salad?
I would think we could probably grind them into a sauce in like a laver. Did I say the right word? Is it laver or lavish?
I think it's lavish. I'm not entirely sure.
Where you like make a sauce and like cover the meat and then cook it with the sauce on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either one of you, roll me a survival check with advantage.
I have +6.
Thank you.
I'm so happy I get that advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Well, the second net one. All right. The DC was a 5.
Oh thank God.
So you're able to crush the berries and a night root together to make a nice, even paste sauce that can go right over top. Did you want to heat it up before doing so to have it like melt into each other more, or did you just want to put it on cold and let it seep into the meat?
I'll look at Charlie and notice. How would you both preferably prepare this?
I cook the meat.
I'll look over. I'll like lean over and look at Arlos for better input.
We should probably heat it first.
Right,
But I completely understand, Charles. I completely get it.
Look, no one taught me.
Well, I'm teaching you now.
We're good. I'm learning, I think. You take the little mortar and put it next to the right beside the fire, like on one of the heating rocks, and you wait till it starts to look a little more liquidy, melty, gets a nice smooth overtop. It's kind of like a weird bluish purpley kind of sauce color to it, with the white berries mixing with the bluish purples of the night root.
Yeah, I will cut a piece of the rope off.
Okay.
So I can use something to dip into the sauce while I'm using to cover.
Yep, you're using it as like a brush.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah,
Nice.
you are able to like lather it over the, I don't know what the actual word is. Lavish it over the meat, nice and roll me a survival check to see how even it is.
Yeah.
Does this too have advantage?
This is gonna be fantastic. Is what this is gonna be.
It doesn't matter
Hell yeah.
because it's very even coated and heated to perfection. almost as if the sauce itself is helping it heat up both the outside and inside, kind of keeping it nice and toasty inside, getting a nice warm color. And you do that for all three deer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which they come off as a little more brown and purple-y due to the sauce, but it still looks oddly tasty in presentation, at least.
Charlie,
Sure.
would you mind?
Enough.
I'll like hand Charlie a notably larger piece. Would you mind taking that to Zafira?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. You know, maybe I
As
should
he
cut
steps
the
directly onto the fire.
Maybe I should cut the rest of the deer up first, or should I
Charlie.
Or turn him around and tell him to go.
No, just we're going Charlie. Just like a
Okay.
disappointed parent.
I'm going.
Well, I look at Arlos. Oh, this is gonna backfire spectacularly as I prepare the rest for the others.
Hey, good looking. I brought you some venison. The room is silent. You could hear a pin drop in the distance from how much tension, and you could take that pin to cut the tension in the air as these two stare at each other. Zafira kind of just blinking at him before she reaches up, grabs a plate, puts it on the pew beside her, reaches up, grabs Charlie's collar as he does not make any attempt to back away, dodge, or run away from this. She shakily pulls him closer so that they're face to face. She gives him a little peck on the mouth. Thank you.
Yeah, Todd.
I'll kind of hold my arm out till I give Arlos a fist bump.
Fist bump, let's go.
And they start to just talk to each other.
Oh shit, the meat's burning.
What?
I'm making a joke, like we were watching them the whole time.
Arlos, you turn around and you see well charred part of the meat. It's almost like perfectly charred. Depending on how much char you like.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right, Octad, you enjoy making hoof. What are you making with hooves?
We are making a broth for hoof soup.
Okay, so step one was to peel the soup. Was to peel the hooves, right?
Yes.
Or was that the fake plan to throw off our listener guy?
That was the fake plan. We're gonna chop them.
Ah, okay, you're gonna chop them. Fake plan. Alright, so you chop up the hooves. What's your whole plan with them? How are you gonna prepare these? Yatsa!
You're asking a lot here. Prepare.
You could be
Plan.
really basic if you like.
We chop it up and throw it in the water pot.
The whole hoof? Like the bone and everything?
The whole hoof. The whole hoof.
Okay, do you chop up the bone as well?
Yes.
Okay. Chunks
This
of
way it boils. It turns into broth easier.
Okay. I'm gonna assume you leave like little bone rings instead of like dicing the bones. So it's like slices of bone. I'm gonna assume that's what you did for the soup or broth. You put
Yes.
it in, stirred it for a while. Joy seems to find some fire salts and add it to the mixture.
I don't know where she found them, but all right.
It's spicy.
It sure is, child. It sure is.
You want to taste? She has some on her finger.
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Alright, she licks it. It burns.
I don't know where that finger's been.
It's been in the salts.
I guess that is. I don't even know where the salts are.
She licks her finger, sticks it in her pocket, and pulls out a finger full of salt.
Where are you getting the salt?
Salt
Is there
rocks.
salt in your pot?
Salt rocks.
Oh, okay. I'm not even gonna question it. I'm just gonna go with it.
Isn't she an alchemist?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure she would have these ingredients.
Yeah, she would go around collecting ingredients.
Yeah, but Octa doesn't pay attention to that, so as far as he's aware.
That's fair.
Alright, but as you add things together, do you add anything else to the broth?
Do I have anything I can add? You know what? I add some of my addicting Treatos.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh,
roll
yes.
Roll a d20 to see what you pull out. It burns so good.
A 3.
What did you get?
Hold on, I gotta pull up that page because where is it? Where is it?
I know those aren't the nachos.
Oh no, it's the chocolate frogs.
Oh, it's the
Oh,
chocolate
wait.
frogs. Alright.
Yeah.
You reach into your little sack of snacks, and as
Oh,
you-
I'm sorry. That's a different box. It's the Underdark chocolate though, so pretty similar.
Oh, the Underdark chocolate. Okay. You see a nice darkened chocolate ball as you pull your hand out of the snack pouch, and you look at it. It's like chocolate and water. Yeah, that mixes. Blunk. And
Chocolate water, fire salt, deer hoof. Makes sense.
Yeah. Roll a survival check to see how well you put this together
Makes sense.
with
making
your
a very-
cooking utensil proficiency and all that,
We
I'm
just made a
making a
giant
very-
fucking yoo-hoo,
and
but, you know,
advantage
makes
from Joy.
I would say I'm making a very weird roux.
sense.
Soft 20.
Oh shit!
Okay,
Oh wait, I have advantage.
you do have advantage.
All right, it didn't help.
Okay, so mixing it together, the broth gets a little brown, but it kind of keeps that nice like murky, watery look to it that most broths tend to have. And you feel like it's ready.
I gotta do a taste test first.
Yeah, we gotta do a taste test.
Octa gets a spoonful and lets Joy taste it.
Ooh, I like it.
Octa then tastes it.
It tastes surprisingly savory for what it is. Like you can feel a bit of the spice there, but it's kind of mellowed out by the chocolate's creaminess, and the bitterness kind of comes through more, and kind of just like it goes down very smoothly. And the
Not gonna lie.
Mhm.
Sorry. I was gonna say out of character, I'm not gonna lie, this sounds absolutely disgusting.
and as
What do you-
the juices from the bone make themselves known, you find a chunk of bone in your broth, and you take a bite. And it's just like a nice
Crunch.
chewy inside. So it's like, and it kind of like melts away into your mouth, almost meaty,
Crunchy.
but not quite.
I can't. I just keep picturing a fucking deer hoof marinating in fucking yoo-hoo.
Spicy you. It's spicy you. Who?
Welcome in,
Welcome. We've made some spicy yoo-hoo. with a deer hoof.
Why is that spicy?
I like to
That's
point
not
out
what it looks
oh.
like at all.
Over here with me and Arlos, we have made what looks like an edible concoction of levered venison, and then you have the whatever Octon Joy just made.
It's a witch's brew. You cannot leave me and Joy alone to cook, because stuff like this is gonna keep happening.
Joy gets really excited and fills up a bowl before running it over to her mom.
Oh.
I like to imagine she's running so fast that she's like spilling it a bit, not on purpose, just out of excitement.
A little bit, not a lot, but just like little bits like get on the floor, staining it slightly brown, just slightly. Mom, it's done. We made this. Are you scared now, Alina?
Octop from the corner. Octop from the corner. It's soup.
It's soup.
I love that Joy had the palate
I'll
of a
try
kobold.
it.
All right, you take a bite of it. Roll a Constitution
You
save.
take a bite of soup.
Hold on. You take a sip of it. You take a drink of it. Roll me actually a Wisdom save. That's what it says, right?
Actually, I mean, if she's taking a bite out of the hoof, you know, that's fair.
Oh, if she's taking a bite out of the hoof, she's probably gonna hurt her teeth. Octop can do it because he's got all carnivore teeth.
Duck, for the snack pouch, it's a Wisdom save, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah, the snack pouch. It's been a little bit since I used it, so.
Yeah.
I will use my inspiration.
Yep.
It is a DC 10 Wisdom save.
Yep.
Yeah, good idea to use the inspiration.
Alina,
God damn it.
this soup tastes amazing. It's very smooth. It has a light bit of spice to it, but it doesn't overpower anything. In fact, the creaminess kind of mellows it out. And there's a sense of bitter in there, but it just kind of soothes the throat as it smoothly goes down. And you just can't help but want some more. You need some more. It's really good soup. You should, like, everyone should have some, but you should have more of it.
Oh no!
I've realized what's happened. I will look at Arlos. Before there's any more damage, could you?
Oh, I know why it's the damn bag.
You're not entirely aware why. You just want more soup. Out of character, you know, but in character, you're like, oh, this soup's really good.
Yeah, good soup.
It's good soup. It's good soup.
All right.
Good soup.
Good soup.
Yeti, what did you want me to do?
I was asking Arlos in character to announce that the venison was ready.
Oh, word.
People...
Arlos will walk to the front of the pews and just. I'm not gonna say yelling, but he'll talk loudly. There's no need to shout. The voice will carry through the chapel. Everyone, soup's on. You can either get a little bit of soup, a little bit of venison. You know, make sure your bellies are filled. You've all been through a lot, and thank you all for your patience in setting all of this up. You've been great.
Everyone slowly gets up and kind of goes to either the soup stand or the venison cutouts. Some people are crazy enough to do both, even.
We are a good sauce to top the venison.
This
As what
venison's
Octon is
already
advertising.
sauced.
Octon is trying to get everyone to have his soup.
Yeah, a lot of people have the soup. Like a good 75% of them have the soup, as they want something smooth to go down. Yeah, you end up running out of soup pretty quickly, Octad.
Who knew my soup would be this popular?
Quite a few people want wanted multiple servings of your soup. In fact, one guy even had like 7. It was kind of concerning.
You're
I'm
waiting to
gonna
cut
assume
the guy
I'm gonna
off.
assume it was either Salty or Papa John. It was one of the two.
It was salty.
I was gonna say, I'd say probably Dar. It's good soup.
It's good.
This isn't going to start
No,
some.
no. Dara was perfectly
some-
fine. He just had the one.
This isn't going to be like a whole food zombie thing, will it?
No.
Because if we don't have any
That's soup.
soup for people, and people that are addicted to the soup, they're gonna go mad.
Ah, yes. Gut soup.
Oh, God.
No, people aren't gonna go mad going after more soup. They'll just continuously pester Doc for more soup.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
It's good soup.
It's good soup.
I mean, good soup.
I could really use some more of that soup. Hey, Lizard, do you have some more of that soup?
I think we're out of soup.
Ah, buggers. Alright, fine. Will you be making some more?
No, we're out of ingredient.
Damn. Well, if you ever make some, let me know. I'd like to, have some more soup. It's bloody brilliant. I tell you. Good soup. Good soup.
Good soup. Good soup.
And I don't give compliments lightly.
Well, you gotta thank Master Chef Junior over there.
Soup.
Soup.
Soup. So, if everyone would like, this is a good time to take our break for the night
Get some soup.
Get some soup.
and get some soup of
I
our
will
own.
pat Joy's head in a proud mom moment.
Yeah. How many bowls of soup did you have, Alina?
Quick, make a roll.
As many as I could.
All right. Roll me a d10. A d12. Roll me a d12.
Oh. Pretty good.
There's a chance to roll a 1. You took 8 bowls of soup.
Very nice.
It was
I regret nothing.
it was good soup. Alright, and with that, we're gonna go on a break for like 10-15 minutes, let's say. We'll be right back. Yeah. So stick tight. We'll be there soon.
Yay!
cheese bites on a stick, then that's
That might
different.
it was from Applebee's, so probably.
Yeah, it's probably
If
what it was, because I don't think Applebee's give fresh mozzarella.
Wait, did you have to grab somebody before going in there? Was it Grapplebees?
Oh god, get with
Grapple
this joke.
bees.
Apple
You guys should have.
baffles.
You guys should have seen the draft video. That
Mikey.
fucking joke.
Wait, what?
Mikey, I have a question
The-
for you.
Did you know that Potemkin signs a grapplication where he applies to a job?
Oh no.
I still find it funny that I threw Sam off with the fact that I don't play Potemkin as a grappler.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Mikey,
Wait, what?
What's happening?
I have a question for you.
I might have an answer.
Welcome to Applebee's. Would you like apples or bees?
Bees.
He's picked the bees.
Violently
bees.
shakes jar of angry bees.
Oh,
Yeah, you gotta go during Halloween. At least those are boobies. Titties.
What
You
a
guys
fun
are
joke to
amazing.
come back to.
Wait, was that whole joke put in?
Yeah, it was.
Fuck yeah, somebody clip that shit.
I'm glad that I say those random things and it just works out most of the time.
Yeah. Granted, we were on for like a minute or two.
Oh, well, now I feel less special and I feel like I deserve a participation trophy for it now.
No.
This is rigged. I'm throwing a
Yes.
hissy fit.
Yes,
Take
it
me to
is.
McDonald's.
No.
Shit.
Why don't you make some chicken nuggets?
Why chicken nuggies?
Is it weird that I want to see The Adventures of Farris animated?
No, I feel like we have good moments. I seriously want to see the Union of Octod animated.
It was ridiculous.
Would be kind of gas.
So,
And it's been my best character moment.
coming back to Farris, you all were chowing down on some food, relaxing, making some conversation, and you kind of overhear Charlie tell Zafir, "So apparently, your dad brought me to life. I don't know how this happened, but that's apparently I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't know."
Well, congratulations,
love how-
Arliss, you made it weird.
I love how Arliss just conveniently left out the K was there too and was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Kay is your dad, right?
Yeah, he took care of me, so he's my dad. But apparently, Arlos is the one who gave me life. Ooh.
This is the goofiest Charlie has ever been.
Yeah, he's with Sophia.
Ah,
You
fair enough. Fair
seriously told him Arlo's.
Was it right to keep them in the dark?
Also, I'd like to point out we were shouting from clear across the room.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you guys like sitting in the
Fair,
pews,
but
or,
still.
like, where would you have eaten your food?
Probably over here.
Fair.
In the pews.
Pew pew.
Take me to church, I guess.
We're already in church.
This is true.
Poor Seymour.
True,
He's all
true,
alone.
true, for real. But you know, if he wasn't a fucking nerd, then he could sit with the cool kids.
Meanwhile, I'm tending to baby.
Yeah. Giving her the milk.
Are you guys just sitting behind the two of them talking?
The silence tears of joy.
I attempted to break the silence, but it appears it's still there.
And then I told them that basically we should just like group up and hit it till it dies. It was a masterful strategy, if I do say so myself.
Meanwhile, Seymour.
So, what exactly are we going to do for sleeping arrangements?
Well, I am not sure.
Ergai's sitting there and his head just cocks back and he just starts snoring.
Well, I guess he has a solution.
I just say we do what he does, sleep on the pews. They're not comfortable, but they're better than nothing.
This is true.
Spent a couple years sleeping on the floor. I've had worse.
Not good. What good?
You don't know my childhood. You barely know anything about me.
Wait, who's talking right now?
Okay.
Yes.
Kai, over here. Hey.
Oh.
What?
Kai, as you looking dude in the corner. You know, in the pro tag seat. Me.
Yeah, he should be even more edgier because his friends are dead.
Guy with the Phoenix pet.
Couldn't save him.
Guy with the pet
Half the
Phoenix.
time I forgot that you even spoke. Holy shit.
I was sitting here the whole time. None of you just
Ergai's gonna mumble in his sleep. Oh, side character.
And
What do you call me?
Don't worry.
Kate just
he's
pipes up from
irrelevant.
across the aisle. It's like, I think he called you a side character.
That son of a bitch.
Oh man. that was
Imagine
good.
he's dead asleep.
Yep. So, what would you like to do right now?
Well, we've got everyone's sleeping arrangements. Did everyone bring their stuff from town?
They brought what they could.
Oh, okay. So, not a whole bunch to look at.
Correct.
Gotcha. You're kind of fucked. Not gonna lie. Can't really think of anything. We made sure the area was secured. Well, Charlie and Ergai did. We have everyone eating food. We know where everyone's sleeping. The only thing left is for them to decide how they wish to run this place, right?
Excuse me, Mike. Sorry about bothering you in this certain difficult time, but I figured I'd at least offer you this.
You recognize the guy from the jewelry store?
I was able to finish the fabric for you, but I wasn't able to get Herbert to start working on it.
Well, first and foremost, I'm more glad that you're alive than about the fabric, but thank you.
Right. I feel guilty that I couldn't really get much of what everyone lost, and y'all have, and you've been helpful to every single one of us. I just wanted to try and pay the effort forward. Pay the effort forward.
pay it forward.
Pay it forward. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my accent together. It's not exactly easy to do.
The accent's fake.
Oh, don't worry, it's all right.
No, the accent for me is fake.
Character growth will bet the accent's fake.
hope y'all, whatever you do next, goes well. I'm not sure if you're gonna stay with us, but if you don't, I hope your adventures are exciting, but not anything like this. Not anything like this. It's pretty brutal. I don't say so myself. So
Excuse me for a second. Can anyone here defend you guys?
I mean, we have Kai and Max. They're the last ones of the adventuring party that was with us. I have some experience with handling weapons and magic items. I've got a couple of my own jewels on me, but these are more for defense in any situation. My love over there has got he's handy with the weapons smithing. He's the blacksmith. You met him before.
I did, yeah.
He's a very nice guy.
You are quite lucky, yes. Well, as long as you guys should be able to defend yourselves, you guys could figure out how to make this place your own, no?
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure it out. I just wanted to thank you for everything you all have done. Honestly, it means the world to all of us.
And yet, I do believe we were the cost of your own world. So it kind of feels weird to accept that apology, to accept that thanks.
It's what it is. Unfortunately, not all of us can control where our path takes us. And this is where Oz has taken us in this current adventure. So we'll make the most of it. Yeah.
Sure, you guys will be just fine, yeah. I always will extend a hand out to give him a handshake.
He'll reciprocate the handshake. Nice, firm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for everything. You've taken care of us ever since we got here.
I'll make sure everyone's safe. And you just make sure that you all safe. Alright? And especially with Blue here, I'm pretty sure we can figure something out. Is that right, Blue? Yes, why, of course I can figure something out for my predicament, but I'm sure we can get the rest of you figured out before long.
Alright, if you say so. I'm holding you to it, though. One day, if we come back here, I'll look to see what you guys do with the place.
We'll have something, alright? Don't you worry.
Alright, cool. Iris will get up and walk over to...
He's gonna step away and head.
Yeah, I had an idea, and I literally, as soon as I picked up my icon to move, I kind of just lost it.
Yep, that's fair.
So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Is just stuck there.
Seymour has a nice skull.
Question:
Answer.
why did Seymour just carry around the skull?
For dramatic effect.
Ah, it seems to be working. Fair enough.
But with repentance, death hath betrayed upon us. In our last moments of solace, do we search forward, or do we succumb to the call of death?
Oh,
I kind of came back from the dead. Does that count?
woe is me? You've just bust him out of his groove as he turns to look at you, just shocked and wide-eyed.
Yeah, look, I got the scar to prove it. It'll like show a scar around his neck.
He drops the skull. You can hear it like clatter along the floor.
Death means nothing.
Death
That's
has
an
no
illusion.
consequences. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't know. Then what do I count as?
Ah, ah, ah,
I think I might have committed to this bit earlier than I should have.
ah, ah.
I think I broke him.
I got it. He just punches the back of his head, and Seymour just falls unconscious on the pew. Got him.
Oh, nice. 10 points.
Thanks. What are the points?
It's that not what is used to keep score of things.
I didn't know we were
You
playing
know, just
a game.
numbers. Oh. Well, congratulations, you won.
Thank you. Yeah, I win. Yeah, let's go.
Alright.
That easy.
Urgal wait here for a second and starts clapping. Why are we clapping?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I won. I won.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did he win? I'll look over at Arlos.
Thumbs up. Yay. I
I
don't
know
know.
he won. Zafira pulls him back down and just kisses him.
That's my girl. Alright, so there really isn't much for us to do anymore here, right? I suppose we should probably be on our way after everyone rests up, yeah?
I mean, you won. Nothing's saying you should go right away, right?
Well,
Plus, that one over there is still a bit tired.
wait, who?
Zafira.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You can always stay with us as long as you need. After all, what else we can do?
I'm going to leave that up to the rest of my group mates.
Fair
Not
enough.
exactly fit to be making that kind of a decision. It seems more like a group thing than just a solo person mentality, I suppose.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm just suggesting something.
That's fair.
So tell me about those little jewels of yours again.
Wait, what? What is happening?
He went back to sit down and talk to his boyfriend.
Oh, okay. So what's everyone else doing, yeah?
Yeah, what does everyone want to do?
I
The
am
longer we
playing with.
wait to go after Blanc, the less likely he's okay.
We gotta get everyone settled here, though, too.
Urgal wants to check on Zell and Charles,
Alright.
the younger one.
Waking up after congratulating Charlie on winning the thing. You can
He
go
still doesn't know what he won.
You can go over and talk to Zella and Charles.
Are you settling in well?
I'm trying. It's
Oh, fell on the head.
Are we gonna be staying here?
For the time being, yes.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're safe here.
Is my dad okay? Is Zafira okay?
They're right. I'll like look at Arlos and gesture for him to come over.
Arlos, roll a perception check.
Oh, okay.
You got this.
No, I don't.
So Urgai,
I
he looks at you, gesturing him, and his eyes just pass over you.
he
Sorry.
kind of just looks straight at him and looks around and do I see like a rock around me?
There's some rubble, yeah.
I want to pick up a small rock and chuck it at Arlos.
Okay, roll an attack.
Okay. I assume I just roll it as unarmed.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Do.
Mana.
Do.
That's not
Hit the
rolling
wrong
it.
button.
This is killing me.
I know I hit the wrong button.
That's
Why
the
is
wrong
it doing
button.
that? I'm hitting roll.
Roll the die, not the. Roll the plus whatever.
That's what I'm hitting.
Stop clicking the name. Click the number.
I'm not clicking the name. I'm clicking the number.
Just do a draconic
Stop
strike or
doing
something.
that.
Just do a
Oh
draconic
God.
strike.
No, he's right. He's right.
Why is it doing this? Hold on, let me click the.
Oh my god, it actually is broken.
Let me click, let
Oh
me click
my
the name.
god.
What's your bonus, Yeti?
Hold on,
Just do draconic
I
strike.
know. Hold on, I have a solution to this.
Damn.
23. Arlos, does that hit your AC?
Yes.
All right. You take Hey Urgai, what's your bonus to damage?
One. I don't get the 1d4 right.
No, that's in key mode.
I'm rolling for damage.
No. You're not rolling for damage. I rolled for damage, but what's your bonus to damage?
+7.
+7?
Oh.
To damage, right? Not to attack?
Yes, that is for the plus for the damage.
Okay. And then +3 for the wisdom, or is that included?
I think that's included.
Okay. Arlos, you take 10 damage to the back of the head.
Oh. Oh no. Ow.
As you turn around, seeing a a little smoke trail come from Uragai's fingers.
And I'll very exaggeratedly point at Zal, who's right next to me.
Arlos will walk up to her guy and glare at him. What? What is it? Why did you have to throw a fucking rock at my head?
I would like to know if you're alright. And I'll walk over to Charles, leaving him.
Arlos will look down at Zoe with heavy eyes and, like, turn his eyes away while petting her on the head.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a mild concussion.
Mild to severe.
Don't worry about me, Zoe. I'm more worried about you. How are you feeling?
I don't know.
Oh.
How is Zafira? Is she gonna be okay?
Carlos will let out a heavy sigh and try to look at her again. Yeah, I sure hope so. What I did is completely unforgivable. But
What happened? clown
I-
was sitting there.
Wait, so you saw him too?
Yeah. Everyone saw the clown sitting there.
Hmm. I also think for a moment. So, can you tell me what you saw on your end?
Well, the clown was sitting there talking. And then you got this scary mask and then stabbed the clown, but it wasn't the clown, it was Saphira.
Oh. Oh. Wait. A scary mask, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
It looked
I,
like bone.
Farris's eyes will open up wide. Where the fuck did I get a bone mask from? All I remember was seeing the clown getting irrationally angry, and I guess it was quite irrationally angry. And then, since I came to, Zafira was on the end of my sword, which I thought was the goddamn clown.
I thought it was the clown too. But,
So it seems.
but
Oh,
then it
go
was
ahead, sorry.
Saphira.
Which I really wished you didn't have to see.
Is she gonna
It's
be
some-
okay?
Would you like to talk to her?
I don't know.
You poor thing. Marlos will pick up Zell and then walk over to Zafira and Charles.
Mm-hmm. As you get closer, it's like, so I had this deer by the neck, and hi there.
Hey, not disturbing anything, am I?
No, we were just telling stories.
Oh, Zafira, your biggest fan, wanted to check in on you. Make sure that you are doing okay.
Oh, how are you doing, Zal? Hey, Zal, look, I know what you saw. Might have been a bit scary, but it's okay. I'll be fine. I'm here now, and nothing's gonna take me away from you. Okay? You just keep focusing on yourself. Be the best dancer you can be. Okay? Okay. That's my girl. Come, give me a hug. Zell kind of leans closer to Zafira as, like, she also wraps you into the hug as well.
Oh.
You can feel her grip. It's there, but it's very weak. Like, you could easily push your way out of the hug if you really wanted to.
No, we bring her in closer.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, so you understand how strong her grip is.
I'm terribly sorry.
No,
No what you have to go to.
no. I'd do anything to make sure something doesn't lose you.
Yeah, but how do we keep us from losing you?
Um,
You came back to help all of us, just for us to hurt you. It's not right.
fine. The whole point was to make sure you all had a good shot. I don't care what happens to me.
Yeah, but we do. So that's where we differ.
Let's agree to disagree.
No, I would like to agree that everyone cares for you.
Well,
There's no
I
changing my
care
mind
for
about it.
everyone.
And you're included in everyone.
Dad, you gave me a chance to be free. you to be alive to inspire others. Just like you inspired me. Just
Little good inspiration does if you're not here to actually put it to use.
but I am.
Oh,
No. You know what I mean.
oh. Yeah. Also, I really need to talk to you about her seeing that.
Yeah. I was a little tied up at the moment, so not exactly the easiest situation.
Yeah, but I just need to know, how is that going? How are you feeling in all of this? You know, I didn't even know how I was going to talk to you about any of this.
It kind of sucks. I can't really get up and move like I want to, but I guess that comes with the territory. I mean, if anyone would know what it feels like, it's you, right?
Would I? I hardly remember a damn thing.
Well, I hope you still remember that you're my dad.
That memory is never going anywhere. That's why I've been beating myself up about the actions that I just took.
What?
Wait. You weren't supposed to hear that.
What does she mean you're her dad?
Don't worry about it. You'll find out perhaps one day.
Are you my sister? Sure, Zal. Call me your sister. I'm here to protect you. All of you.
Damn right. You have the coolest big sister in the world.
And I have the coolest little sister in the world.
Mhm.
Zell kind of just hugs closer to you. Just really tired as she yawns.
Aww. I also sit in a pew and let Zell just rest on him.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you let Zell sleep for the night. Anyone else?
I'm also checking on young Charles.
Oh, right. Alright.
How are you doing, Charles? How are you doing, Charles?
He shrugs. He tilts his head back and forth, kind of like weighing his options.
Did you enjoy dinner?
He nods.
That's good. And I'll pat him on the head.
He closes his eyes and just accepts the pat. He looks at you sadly. Pulls a paw over to his chest. Hits the little emblem that was embedded in there. Just looks at you.
It should hopefully only be temporary that you're stuck like this.
He nods in understanding.
But I do have some good news for you.
He tilts his head.
Get some good rest tonight. We're gonna start training again in the morning.
He pauses a moment before nodding his head.
I at least call it good news because I was under the impression that Charles liked the training.
He can't really explain his position right now.
Yeah. Like, I'm just trying to give him something to take his mind off of things.
Mm-hmm. Should I not
I-
be here to hear all this, or I'm just gonna shut up.
I look over at Kay, if that's alright with you, that is.
I'm sorry, what? People cut out.
I am asking you for permission to let Charles train in the morning.
Kay will just like roll his head to give Urgai a look. He can train if he wants to, but if he doesn't want to, leave him be about it.
I look at Charles. Is that your wish?
He looks between you and Kay, back and forth, before looking at you and just slowly nodding his head.
Just know, you throw him through a wall again, or hurt him severely in any type of way, I will make you into soup.
Charles leans his head up against you, Kay, and just kind of lays there.
I'll reach up and gently, like, hug and pet him.
Meanwhile, Joy's thinking about soup.
I like to think Isaac just kind of perks up at the mention of more soup and is like, soup?
Soup. I like soup. I like the soup. It was warm. It was a nice bath.
You bathed in the soup?
Yeah? Did you
Speaking
not?
of, Kay,
You're supposed to eat it, Isaac.
I did.
Alright.
speaking of,
I ate the
Kay,
nuts.
which
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of, Kay, which item did you partake in?
Hey, gives him a look again, motions to himself, then kind of snarks back and is like, I'm a bird of prey. What do you think?
They were both meat-based. That doesn't answer my question.
Solid meat.
Okay. Just thought I'd let you know that Octad made the soup.
It was good soup.
Why do you think I didn't have the soup?
Can I have more soup?
Yes, you can have more soup, Isaac.
Yay, more bath soup.
There is no soup left.
No!
Damn it.
I want more bath soup. I like how it makes my scales.
The soup was actually good.
I have a question.
I have it.
Would I have noticed if Octad reached into his funny little bag to grab an item for the soup?
Octad, roll a stealth check. Or a guy, roll a perception check.
Yeah, I'm just asking this in retrospect because this
Either stealth or sleight of
can
hand.
I roll?
Whichever you prefer.
Well, I've already rolled stealth, so
Okay.
Ah.
Nope, you had no notice of it. You were too proud of the fact that you distracted him. Alright. I can't wait to have more bath soup.
You would have to ask the funny lizard man.
I like the way it makes my skin
Wait.
feel sticky.
Can Urgai understand Isaac? Or am I the only one who can?
Kay, you
Oh,
speak
I
Draconic,
keep
right?
forgetting. Yeah.
Kay, you speak Draconic, right?
I mean, unless... Hold on. Is it a part of the feat? Because it's not under my languages.
Okay, then that would be a no. You understand him being the understanding animal speech, but Urgai understands him via the Draconic language. So
Yeah.
the
Alright.
nature of his message gets across to you. Meanwhile, Urgai's actually translating it for himself.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I like the way it makes my scale sticky. He lifts up one of his claws, and some of your feathers just starts being pulled along with it.
All right. Nope. You need a bath. That's not soup.
I had a bath.
Nope,
I had a soup
it's-
bath.
You're gonna get water
No,
and soap.
I like the sticky.
Well, if you're gonna sit on me, you're not gonna be sticky.
No.
I want to look at Charles. Please tell me you didn't eat the soup.
He shakes his head.
Good, and I'll pat him on the head. Do not trust anything that lizard makes.
He shakes his head furiously.
I like to think while they're having that part of the conversation, Kay's in the background fighting with Isaac, like trying to put him in air jail,
No.
while Isaac's just like pulling
No.
feathers, like
No,
left
water.
and right because he's so sticky.
Water is cold.
I can make warm water, you
No.
fucking nuisance.
Water's hot.
I'm gonna leave this before that gets messy.
God bless Isaac being Isaac.
And then as soon as Isaac's strength gives up, he just splashes into the water.
Does anybody have any soap? This little nuisance needs a bath.
Can we get some soup?
Soap.
Soup.
You're not getting any more soup.
I
Soup.
think you missed the soup tree.
I have magic.
It's a magic soap.
Magic soup.
Not soap,
not-
Isaac.
Some SOAP.
Yes.
S-O-P. Soup.
That's not how you spell soup.
I don't know how to spell.
God bless Isaac.
Soup.
I love how Urgai went around to do a welfare check and ended up getting Isaac a bath.
Sometimes that's what happens.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to do?
Soup?
No soup.
Treat?
No treat.
No treat.
Treat?
No treat.
No treat.
Treat?
No treat.
No treat.
God damn it.
Okay, he's getting fussy. I think it's time for an NAP.
Party.
Party.
I
Alright.
will head over to that place to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check
Party.
in with Luna, who has been ominously quiet, more than usual.
The fuck you want?
No.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fucking fantastic. It's not like our only way to get here has died a lot sooner than we realized. No,
Actually, I
no.
did. Oh, wait.
It's not like we're stuck here and have no second chances to go back and do this the right way. No. We're perfectly fine. Fan-fucking-tastic.
This one has an attitude problem.
Fuck you.
I'm not even there.
Hot water.
None of us could have seen this coming. I'm just glad you are okay.
Yeah. Ray should have been okay, though. Ray should have been here. Ray was how he got back. How we got here. And we just... There's no doing this again. There's no going back. There's no fucking second tries, we're gonna die. We're fucking dead. How are we supposed to know how to defeat the Devourer? We don't even know what it looks like. I don't know how those two will be over there laughing.
I know, I can't help but feel responsible. If we hadn't left that damn scythe here, it might have went different.
You and that damn scythe. Why did you have to pick it up? You... Just... It's hard, you know? Being touched by the gods. It means I have to be the special one. The one that means that something's gonna go right, right? I didn't ask for this. I never fucking asked for this. I wouldn't have known you, and Jay would have been, and Ray would have been fine if we just stayed where we were.
I never wanted you to get involved if I could have helped it.
That was our plan. We were gonna get involved. Help everyone we could. All my sister's across the country and I can't even see her. Just wanna go home. Back to playing with
I'll
the
say a tear going down my cheek. I'm sorry.
I want to go back to playing with the fairies, to laughing with the mermaids, riding unicorns to the forest, having the pixies teach me how to fly, cracking jokes back and forth. I want to go back.
I'll hug her.
She kind of stiffens up. I shouldn't be here. I mean, it wasn't all fun and games. There were some scary times. Running from the Jabberwock, surviving those owlbear cubs, running away from sirens after swimming a little too deep. It's pretty scary. But Joy was there. She was there every time I got in trouble. Always pulling me out of danger. Just in time. Helping me fix my injuries. And say the right things. Kid, be a better person. I need my sister back.
We'll make this right, I promise. Ray's death will not be in vain and you'll see her again. You just gotta be patient. We'll head that way and you can join us. I'll talk to Charlie and Zephyra.
She wipes away a few tears from her face. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'm gonna go for a walk.
Alright.
And she leaves out the door. And when she does, that's what we're gonna call it. Thank you everyone so much for joining me for today's session. Hope you all had fun. Hope it was a little lighter, even with the heavier subjects. I'm trying to make it not as, hard hitting. I care about you guys.
Yeah.
Gotta
Okay,
do
bring
what
this
you
one.
gotta do.
Hard hit dudes nuts. Actually, don't. That would hurt.
Please,
Hurt.
whatever you're into, bro.
You already did that, Doc.
Yeah, as I said, I did that this morning by accident. I don't need that again.
Yeah.
How did you manage that? You still didn't answer that.
I don't remember. Is a thing.
Oh, fair enough.
It hit himself so hard he got memory loss.
That's what happened.
Alright. Well, you guys want to give yourselves some outros?
My name is
I'm first, I'm not going first.
My name. Oh, well, I just said my name. Yeah, I'm streaming Ghost of Tsushima and Smite nowadays. We beat Bloodborne finally, so
Let's
yeah.
go.
I played Arlos, by the way. Yeah, my Hexblade Warlock guy, silly little dude. But I'm gonna pass it over to Mikey.
I was muted. All right. Hi everyone, my name is Cosmic Keeper, aka Karen. I don't have a streaming schedule, but I've been active in my Discord lately. If you guys want to swing by, just drop me a
That's
DM
true.
somewhere. Be like, yo, I want the Discord link. I would say it's public, but the Discord link changes every 7 days.
Honestly, that's fine. You don't want everyone joining the Discord.
Yo, I want the
Yeah.
Discord link.
Same.
Sammy,
Also, Doc,
you're
I
in the
probably
Discord.
need it.
What are you talking about?
I know, I'm in the Discord.
Gotta say,
Doc,
Yeti,
I
I invited you to mine, but you were in too many servers to join mine.
Yeah, and then I upgraded my Discord. Now I can join it.
Well, I didn't know that. You didn't tell me.
You got Nitro.
I needed
Well,
it anyway
well,
for Discord streaming.
We will fix that problem a little bit later.
Anyways, who's next?
Mordred.
I don't think she was ready.
She wasn't ready.
Let's go. That means Mordred buys everyone a drink.
Yeah. Shot through the heart.
And you're to blame.
You give love a bad name.
John Bon Jovi's my neighbor.
Damn. For real?
That was my most obvious lie. I wasn't even trying to lie. Be
Oh,
deceiving in that one.
I didn't even
But he
realize.
is my boss. He is my boss's cousin, second cousin, something like that.
Interesting.
Yes. Everyone in New Jersey is related.
Oh yeah, well, my cousin is married to the Muffin Man.
The
Muffin
Muffin
Man?
Man? That lives
I'm
on the
Muffin
green
Mordred,
way?
Man.
a pretty emotional person right now, but I'll be either playing more Kingdom Hearts tomorrow or starting Monster Hunter World on stream.
Monster Hunter. Mordred, have you ever played a Monster Hunter game before?
Kinda.
I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know her gaming experience.
Some
I think
Generations
I think she
Ultimate.
says yeah.
Ah, well then you are in for a ride.
Mm-hmm. Not a rise, just a ride.
I need to finish Rise.
I'm good.
Coward. Anyway,
Hey Doc,
yeah,
guess what?
yeah.
You're the last one.
Wait,
I
did
got
Jenny go?
skipped. I
Wait.
got
I was gonna
skipped.
say.
I'm
How?
I'm sorry.
That's a poor Yeti.
Yeti, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeti, go.
Forgotten but not gone.
No, you're not forgotten. I'm just stupid.
Oh, good. It's all good.
It's your turn.
I am an idiot. I'm playing. I did play Urga the Torch Monk today. I am thinking about streaming Warframe on Thursday. Because I just got a new capture card. I now have an Elgato H60X.
Yay.
I think I said the name
Nice.
right.
Wahoo!
Let's go, baby!
Yeah.
Wahoo!
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Wahoo!
And after that, I'll probably be testing it on my Switch next because I'm wanting to play through Okami on stream.
And before you
Oh,
guys,
me is good.
realized I wasn't doing Mario.
No, I realized it. I just didn't mention it.
Mm-hmm.
I was paying enough attention to be honest.
Wahoo!
I don't know what that's supposed to be.
That's
That's from Luigi's Mansion, right?
no. It's not a Nintendo game.
Oh, I swear Egad does the same one.
It's Klonoa.
I've
What
never
the
heard of it.
deuce? What is that?
You haven't.
You never heard of
Oh,
Klonoa?
he's so cute.
Yeah, I've only played one Klonoa game. It's played the first one. It's pretty alright.
I haven't played any of them. I want to though.
Nice.
Yeah, if it's
Eeny, meeny, miny, doc.
I am Doc. I played Octa the Kobold today. But you know what? I feel like playing K next week, so I think I might take that. Oh,
Yeah, no, fuck you. Get your own characters.
Get your own characters. Yeah, Doc, you have like 6 characters, 7 characters.
well, to be fair, I've only got 2 right now. The other 5 are away.
Yeah. It's fair.
Anyway, yeah, this week is kind of busy for me, so I'm probably not streaming tomorrow because I work, and I'm scheduled to be there till 10, but I'm probably going to be there till like 8 or 9 because of the nature of the event.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm probably not gonna stream tomorrow. Probably Thursday. Probably continue Earthbound because I can't decide on what other game I want to do offhand. I am enjoying Earthbound though. It is a nice treat.
Nice. Treat.
No treat.
No.
Treat?
No treat.
Treat.
No soup.
No soup.
Oh, soup!
No soup. Soup.
No soup.
No, soap.
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 Meanwhile,
No.
Kay is drowning Isaac in the background.
Soup.
Father, why?
Father, help!
Help.
And
Anyway, Sam.
I'm Sammy, your godmommy for the evening and every Tuesday evening because I don't take breaks, except for that one time where I took a break.
It's okay to take breaks every now and then, Sam. We understand.
Yeah, I know.
Except for Mordred. Mordred always wants more.
Sadly, that's hilariously true. Not blaming you, Mordred, not throwing you under the bus. I'm just saying, you get excited, and I love that.
I
But
threw
yeah,
Mordred under the bus.
I am streaming on Tuesdays. I am doing my D&D campaign, Adventures in Farris, and that's it.
When's Resident Evil?
The fuck is a Resident Evil? So anyways,
Hmm.
wait for Halloween, not Pride Month. Speaking of which, happy Pride Month!
When's Life is Strange?
I haven't played that. I was gonna play Celeste, maybe.
Also,
That was
Sam,
too.
Sam, tell me why is free on Steam right now?
I
Thought
already
you should
have it.
know.
I already have it.
Yeah. It was free on Steam a while ago. That's probably when. Yeah, I
picked it
grabbed
up
it then
when
too.
It was free. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I have some inclusive games that I'm planning to play. An event I'm planning to take part in. So, please be on the lookout for those. I don't know when I'm going to be starting them, but hey, stay tuned. And with that being
By
said,
that we mean follow and subscribe.
follow and subscribe. Also, like and hit the bell button on YouTube, you guys. And I love you. Now, the fuck are we raiding into today?
I think Crow chose last week, right?
Yeah. What you
Yeah.
mark
I
it?
did. Yeah.
I haven't gone in a little bit. I want to use this time.
Yeah.
Do it.
Follow, like, and subscribe, and ring the
Let's
little bell.
raid.
Follow, like, and subscribe. Like
And ring the little bell.
That's cute.
You know what?
That's cute, Dad.
We will raid. We'll raid EB.
Evie.
Yeah, she's streaming a horror game right now.
Spooky.
Ooh.
Yeah, so for the Resident Evil people that want Resident Evil to watch Resident Evil.
One day I will play those games on stream.
I will also eventually play those games. I own most of them at this point, but I want to wait for like Halloween.
I have
Yeah.
a Resident Evil
I got
that I own somehow, but I don't.
I own 5 and 6.
I played it once. It was interesting.
I own every version of, or at least one of every version of Resident Evil. Like if I either have the original or the remakes they did, because like almost all of them have remakes.
Mhm.
So I own one version or the other of each one.
But yeah, hope everyone's ready for the raid. It's gonna be great. Evie is fantastic streamer, and she deserves all the love.
Good bun.
Very good bun. Bah! We're leaving.
Say goodbye.
Say goodbye. Civilian casualty. There's no reason why I say that specifically.
I feel like I'm missing the joke here. Also, I sneezed. I'm sorry.
Bah.
I apologize.
I didn't hear any sneezing, so you're fine.
Same. I mean, Sam.
Achoo.
What? But yeah, goodbye everyone. Love you. Have a good time zone or whatever it's called.
You